Hi, my name's Leonie Gonzalez, and I'm here with my sister Riley, and we are going to be doing a podcast over healthcare in the United States. We watched Why It's So Hard to Get Mental Health Care, the Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj on Netflix, and yeah, let's just get into it. What did you think about the podcast, about the video?
I really liked it. I thought it was really funny, but also super educational. And I feel like with a lot of like deep topics like that, I can lose interest fast. But he kept me
On your toes.
on my toes,
Interested.
very interested. Yes, he kept my attention. It was funny, but it was a good mix of funny, serious, a lot of valuable information that I can now keep in my head.
Yeah, me too. I like that he made jokes and he made everyone laugh, but still tying it into raising awareness on mental health and making sure everyone knows like what the problems are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find anything interesting specifically about the video?
I found it interesting that he said that it's really difficult for a lot of people to find therapists, whether you have insurance or not. And I felt, when I heard that, I was like, he's right. I can relate to that. And we'll talk about that later. But I just felt like everything he said was very accurate. I don't feel like any part of it I disagreed with.
Yeah, I've all of his statistics that he brought up, the 40 million people with mental health issues, and all the stats about like insurance declining people or saying that it's not medically necessary. I found that really, really interesting. And I know that healthcare doesn't, they say they'll cover you, or they say that they do this, but it's really hard. And it's just really unfair to some people because they need help and they can't get it. Anything else about the video?
Mm-mm.
Okay, let's dive into the question. Have you or anyone you know ever experienced anxiety or depression?
Yeah, I mean, definitely being in the public high school American school system, you meet a lot of people with a lot of different mental health issues, anxiety and depression included, and it is very eye-opening. And I just feel like seeing that, knowing, I have a lot of friends that I have met, and they have what looks to me like the perfect life. But no matter the life you lead, you can always have your own issues deep down that no amount of things or money can help fix.
Yeah, I've noticed and I've seen trends where they seem really, really happy, and they're just so much fun to hang out with, and they, on the surface, you can't tell anything's wrong, but deep down they're really struggling, and they just don't know how to ask, or they don't know what to do with it, so they just take it out on themselves. And it's your job as their friend to ask and to make sure that they're okay, and that they're loved in their environment, and that everyone loves them, and that their whole family and friends are just there behind them and supporting them throughout everything in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the next question is, when our mom and dad got divorced, did it affect your mental health?
Yeah, I think it did a lot, just because it was really hard for me. It was just really difficult. And I was never really close with either my mom or my dad specifically. I was pretty indifferent to both of them. But after the divorce, I think I distanced myself from my mother. Of course, my dad will never say that it was her fault, but she made some mistakes and it was hard for me to witness. And now I just think I don't think I'll look at her the same. I know she has her mental health issues for sure. She has a lot of her own issues, and so do I. But it really did take a toll on my mental health, for sure. And I know it did for my dad and my mom as well.
Yeah.
Did it for you?
Yeah, it did. Like, I know I wasn't there for you, and I know that took a toll on your mental health, and it took a toll on mine. Like, I know that I couldn't be there for you, and I wasn't there to like just like digest it with you, because I know we've always been together. Like, last year was the first year that we were like apart. Like, she was in Austin and I was in Dallas, and it was just really hard on both of us. And I was working all the time, and and I know that it was just like really hard for you to be alone with her.
Yeah, so like after the whole situation happened, my dad went back to Dallas to work, and my sister was living in Dallas. So
No, he went. Dad went to Mexico on
Well,
vacation, and then I was in Dallas because it was the first week of school.
But after his vacation in Mexico, he went back to Dallas here, and I was alone with my mom for the remainder of the school year. And being alone with her was really difficult because it wasn't like being alone with her. I just completely ignored her. I didn't want anything to do with her. So I just felt super alone down there, and I felt very detached from my sister and my dad. So I felt like I had no one to lean on.
Yeah, and I know that like me, like Dad and I, we tried to do a lot of things to help you, but just like the distance of it, it was just really, really hard for all three of us to just really get over. And I think like this year, all three of us are gonna be staying together. So I think it'll be good, and like we're going on vacation, and I think like it'll help heal just like a little bit of what happened to everybody last year. So the next question is, did Grandpa's passing affect your mental health?
I think just that moment being so close to everything else that happened.
Yeah, because our parents getting divorced, and then our our grandfather passing away happened
Within weeks.
Yeah, like I feel like it was like August, September, October, November. Like we found out early
Like
August
all
that he
last
passed
year.
away.
Yeah. I think all last year was really difficult because like dad moved out, then my sister Leonie moved out, and then the incident with my mom, and then my grandfather passing, and it literally just felt like everyone I cared about was like leaving. So it was all very, very fast. And towards the end of last year, it really went south. And that was really difficult for me.
Yeah. So our grandfather got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in August, and then he died the week before
December
Thanksgiving.
17th.
So yeah, and it was just like those four-ish months was just really hard on everyone. And I think our mom was definitely raised in a different time, and our grandparents were just different people then. And I think that that she really experienced things, and I don't think she has accepted them. And I think she just needs to talk with someone. But she was raised in the Midwest, and she was born in the 60s. Like, they never went to a therapist, they never got help, they never took medication. It was just always like
And her mom is very against therapy.
Yeah.
And it's just a bad mesh of things. So my mom doesn't think it's necessary for her to go see someone.
Or to talk about things. Yeah. And it's just like every time we do try to talk to her about something, like she's always the victim, and it's just, and she just tries to get out of having a conversation about anything deep like that because it stresses her out. I don't know, but it's just been very hard on everybody. But I think this year is going to be better than last year. For me, from my experience, when our grandfather passed away, I was in Dallas, so I didn't really get to see him a lot, and I feel like it was good for me that I didn't have to experience that, and that I could like digest it on my own. But it was just really hard to be away from Riley, and so I couldn't like grieve with her. I couldn't talk with her all the time like we used to, like we do right now. And it was just being away, and I think me working all the time and going to school, it was really easy for me to just push it to the side and focus on something else because it was out of sight, out of mind. Like I was just working, and I just wanted to take a breather from my life in Austin. And I think that it was good, but I think it wasn't the best way to deal with everything that was happening. I was really avoiding everything that was happening, and I know it ended up not being very good for my mental health. So did the distance between you and I affect your mental health?
I mean, I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely did. Literally never in our life have we been that far from each other.
Yeah.
For that extended amount of time. And then on top of that, having so many life-changing
things happen.
Yeah, it was really hard. But I mean, we're together now, so
yeah,
it's over.
And for me, the distance between you and I did affect my mental health. Like, I missed you a ton, but my senior year of high school was really, really hard. That was like the first year that my dad moved here. And so I was having to take care of my mom and my sister alone, like my senior year of high school, and it was really hard. Like, I couldn't hang out with my friends all the time like I wanted to, and I was just having to make sure that my mom was okay, and make sure that she got home okay, and that she didn't get herself in trouble, didn't get herself hurt. And it was just a lot. But I think being away from my sister was really hard, but being away from my mom helped me accept things for what they are, and it helped me move on a little bit because I got to take a break from her. Like, I didn't really see her all that much last year, just when our grandfather passed away, and I think Christmas was the last time that I was there, and then a couple times over the summer this year.
We weren't together for Christmas.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, well, yeah, after or before, but not on Christmas Day.
Where were we on Christmas Day?
I don't know, but I was alone Christmas Day.
No? Really?
Yeah. Because I was with Isaiah for Thanksgiving, but Christmas, I was alone here. And you came down later, I think.
I don't know. I think I had to take off the day for work or something. But yeah, I think it was good for me to be alone, and I think it'll be good for you to be alone, like away from mom.
Yeah.
Because she can be a lot. Like, I love her, but she's just a lot to deal with by yourself. So, have you ever seen a therapist?
Yeah, after my parents decided to get divorced, my dad said, hey, like, if you want to see a therapist, we can talk about that. And I did for a little bit. I didn't really connect with him. I think if I saw another therapist, it would be a different experience. But he was the therapist that I saw was a therapist specifically for veterans. So when he met me, he was like, your problems aren't that bad. And I was like, okay, in perspective now, that's not a word, but I get that. But to me, my world was ending. But to him, he was like, hey, like I have people every day that are like shot at, so you're okay. And I was like, okay.
You said that you were going to talk about your experience finding a therapist. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
So when I told my dad that I wanted to see a therapist, the company he works for is so amazing, and they're like, we will help you find a therapist, and we'll give you 6 sessions for free. So they gave me a list of like 12 therapists. I called every single one, and out of the 12, only like 5 of them answered, and of the 5 that did answer, only one is the one that I saw. The other ones, they either weren't taking any more patients. They didn't have any openings for like months. One of them was like, no, we actually don't take your like insurance anymore. I actually don't take them. And I was like, okay. So it was really difficult. And then the one guy that I did find, I didn't really vibe with him very much. So it was a disappointing experience. And since then I haven't tried to find another therapist, which was discouraging, but maybe I will later in life.
Do you think if you found another, like a different therapist, you think that it would be like a better experience? Do you think you would take more away from talking to a therapist?
I think so. It's just, it's the steps to getting a therapist. Takes forever, and it's a lot, and it's exhausting. And I have a lot of other stuff on my plate right now. I'm trying to find a job, so I just feel like finding a therapist. I would love to have a therapist, but it's such an extensive process that can be really like disappointing in the end. So
yeah. Do you think that why do you think that's the reason?
What's the reason?
That you can't find like a good therapist?
What's the reason?
Yeah, what is the reason? I'm asking you, what do you think the reason is you can't find a good therapist?
Well, cause it's so difficult. Like the guy on the Netflix special said, they have a super high declining rate. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, for insurance.
Mm-hmm. For insurance, they're booked out months and months in advance, and there's not that many like therapists in the United States.
Yeah. Do you think you would like ever go to a therapist again?
Yeah, maybe later in life, like when I'm an adult, maybe.
Why? Because I didn't go to a therapist, and I don't think I need to.
Well, because you're a lot like Dad. So she is a lot like my dad, who likes to deal with things kind of on their own. He keeps to himself a bit. I'm a lot like my mom, which scares me, and I don't want to turn into her. So I think I would go to therapy to avoid turning into her. Mm-hmm. And I know I already have a lot of like personality traits like her. And I know she did have some mental health issues when we were in middle school, and that affected her really badly. And in turn, because she wanted us to be adults so soon, it affected us a lot.
I think we've talked about it before. It was like grandma stopped being like a mom to our mother. So like around that age where she lost her mother, she was like, okay, well, they're fine then. And it wasn't, we weren't ready for that. And I don't think that she realized that we still needed a mother. And so I think it took me a long time to realize that. And I think once I brought it up to Riley, like, you're like, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because like, it's very obvious that our mother had a very rough childhood, and you know, our grandmother, she is rough, like she's an old lady, and you know, she's stuck in her ways, and we love her, but it was definitely a different time back then. So,
And me and Leonie are so different that because she's like my dad, she's so forgiving, and she is so passive, and she's very loving. Like, she just is so forgiving. It's like, okay, they messed up enough. You can stop forgiving them. But I'm not. Unfortunately, I take my mom's side in that aspect as well, where I am not very forgiving. So with my mom and my grandma, I have a hard time seeing them again after everything, and I have a hard time still enjoying their presence. But Leonie...
But I think you're on the right track. You're acknowledging that, like, I don't want to end up like her. Like, I will see help. Like, I'm not saying that I don't want help in the future. And I think that's really good.
And that's what our
healthy of
mom
you.
did, was she did not want any help. She thought she had everything under control, and she didn't.
Yeah.
She still doesn't.
I don't know. I'm not excusing her for everything that she did, but she did have a rough childhood, and we had a great childhood. It was good. And I think, like, as we got older, like, our dad, like, evolved with us. So, like, when we were little, like, he was, like, a little bit more strict. He was like, you need structure, and this is how it is. And then, like, once we got older, he was like, you're becoming an adult, you need to think about things, you need to just, like, evolve. And he was there to evolve with us. And our mom, it wasn't exactly like that.
She was very good with us when we were younger.
Yeah, she's really good with little kids, but like
kids like under 12.
Yeah, but like once you get into like middle school, like I was in a sport, and like I was like, can you please do this? Like I was always reminding her to do stuff, and I was always like, can you please take me? And I was always like, we need to get this, and we need to get this, and we need to be here on this time, and can you please be here? And I was just having to like bribe her to do things, and it was just stressful for like a 13-year-old girl. So it was just, things could have been better. And then yeah, I don't know. So your experience with that therapist wasn't good, but
It wasn't good, but I am not like, it wasn't a great experience, but I'm not saying it was terrible. Like, he helped me a lot, and I think I would for sure try to go to therapy again. I'm not like, that was bad, I'm not trying it ever again, because I've heard amazing things about therapy, and I've seen it really help a lot of my friends. So I think if I could find the right therapist, I would absolutely love it and take away a lot from it. But right now, it's just not my top priority.
I don't think that I would like ever go, because it's just not my thing. Like you know that I'm just like a very private person. I don't really like to talk to other people about my problems. Like, I will talk to my dad about my problems. Like, I'll talk to Riley about my problems, and then we'll have a discussion about it. And you know, like, sometimes like they'll open my eyes about things, and I'll open their eyes about things. And that's how I take more out of something if I'm talking to someone experiencing it with me. And I know that that's not the same for everybody, and I know that therapy really helps people. Like, if you talk about it in like a therapist office, like, it helps them. But I don't think that's for me. I think I would feel very uncomfortable, and I don't think that I would benefit from it. But I know Riley would hold me accountable and be like, you need to talk to somebody about like you need to go to a therapist. And I would, if you told me that I needed to go to a therapist, I would go.
But I think, like,
Because we hold each other accountable for things.
for sure, yeah. But I think because when you talk to me or you talk to Dad about some issues, after that, you absorb what we say and then you move on.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you
really
can put
good
it
at
to the
move
side.
on, yeah.
I will lay in bed and think about it for hours, and then I will, like, cry myself to sleep, and I can't not think
know.
about it, and I wake up thinking about it, and then I continue to think about it for hours and hours on end. So I think that's why I need to talk to, like, a professional so that they can be like, you're not crazy.
Someone not in the problem.
From like a third,
Yeah.
like a
Third
objective
party,
point of
yeah.
view, third party who isn't biased, isn't, you know?
In the situation.
Exactly. So I can get someone else's
Point of view.
Mm-hmm. And with a lot of this stuff about our family, I don't like to talk about it with friends or even with my boyfriend. I really like to just talk about it with Leonie or Dad. And other than those two, I don't like to talk about it because I don't want people to feel bad for me or look at my mom differently or look at my dad differently. So I just have a hard time telling anyone that isn't my dad or my sister about it. And because my dad and my sister are so alike and I'm so not like them, sometimes I feel like we experienced it not differently, but we take away different things.
And when we all come together and we talk about it, like, everyone opens their eyes just like a little bit more to the situation.
Yeah, and I love talking to you guys about it, but I feel like in a lot of situations, especially like when we're around my mom, Leonie can be so forgiving, and I'm like, am I crazy? Am I actually crazy?
You're never crazy. It's that I have accepted Mom for what she is.
Yeah.
And I have accepted that she will not get help and that she will not move on and that she will probably never change, and this is who she's going to be for the rest of her life. And I cannot change her. I am not going to change her, and I'm not going to try to change her.
She accepts that, and she still loves our mom.
Yes.
And I have a hard time. I accepted it. But I don't like her.
And I think, like, with time and separation, like, I think you'll move on a little bit, and you'll, like, be like, you will take away from different things, and you'll experience different things, and it'll be better. And then you'll be open to talking to her again, like, friendly and with meaning and stuff like that. But
how long does this have to be? Okay.
yeah.
Would you consider therapy like in adulthood?
No, but if you told me or if Dad told me and they were like, we really think you need to go to a therapist, I'd be like, okay. Because your opinion really, really matters to me, and Dad's opinion really, really matters to me. But if like one of my friends were like, oh, you should probably go see a therapist, I'd be like, okay. And I wouldn't go because I know how to deal with my problems. I feel like maybe that's not as healthy.
I think you do. I mean, Dad has seen a few therapists, I think.
Yeah.
For very short periods of time, but
he never was like, oh, like, this helped so much.
Mm-hmm.
He was never, oh, I love, like, this has really opened my eyes.
We've watched, like, documentaries about therapy and therapists, like, who made movies about therapy. Like, we've watched some of those, me and my dad have. And I think he takes away a lot more from that than anything else.
Yeah. And I know that, like, when I talk to him about our mom, like, he will like, sit down and we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, and I know that he said that he's gone to therapy and that it's helped a little bit, but I think when we talk to him about it, like, he's like, yeah, I get that. And I think as we've gotten older, like, he's been more open to talking to her, and he really protected us when we were little, with her, so yeah, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect, Riley's not perfect, Dad's not perfect, Mom's not perfect. It's just we try to
Some
move
of us
on.
are willing to admit we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Some of us aren't. But
Well, I think that's it for everything. I think we covered everything we wanted to. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.